25 futuristic inventions from the 1980s that totally flopped. The 1980s, an era of big ideas, bold experiments, and spectacular failures. From quirky gadgets to ill-fated beverages, these inventions once promised to shape the future, but ultimately failed to take off. Join us as we look back at 25 of the biggest product flops of the 80s and see if you remember any of them. Gullwing doors, the DeLorean D, MC12. Gullwing doors always had a futuristic, almost sci-fi appeal. When they first appeared, people envisioned a world where every car had these kinds of doors: sleek, stylish, and effortlessly cool. A big part of that dream came from the DeLorean DMC-12, famously featured in the movie Back to the Future. This car wasn't just a film prop, it became a symbol of what people thought the future of automobiles would be. It represented innovation, a bold statement in design, and a promise of superior performance, capturing the imagination of millions of car and movie enthusiasts. While they looked amazing, Gullwing doors came with some serious practical problems. The biggest issue was safety. If a car with Gullwing doors flipped in an accident, the driver and passengers could get trapped inside with no way to push the doors open. That was a terrifying thought that made many people wary. What's more, these doors required extra space to open, making them impractical in tight parking lots. They also needed complex hinge systems and gas struts to work properly, which made maintenance more expensive. The DMC-12 itself also suffered from various manufacturing quality issues and a weak engine, with performance that didn't match its sporty looks. These issues, combined with the financial troubles of the DeLorean Motor Company, led the company to go bankrupt after just over 2 years in operation. Speaker vest. Long before wireless headphones and Bluetooth speakers became the go-to for portable music, motorcyclists had another way to enjoy their favorite tunes on the road: the speaker vest. This wasn't just any biker gear, it was designed to turn every ride into a portable concert. The concept was simple yet bold: a vest with built-in speakers allowing riders to blast their favorite music on the go. It even had removable sleeves to convert into a vest, adding to its versatility. This idea aimed at those who loved the freedom of the open road but didn't want to miss out on their music, creating a whole new, personalized riding experience. This idea might have seemed cool at the time, but it had some serious flaws that kept it from taking off. The biggest issue was poor sound quality. At high speeds, wind and engine noise could easily drown out the speakers, making it less effective than hoped. The music became distorted and hard to hear, defeating the main purpose of the device. Plus, with no headphones, everyone around you had to listen to your music, which was socially inconvenient and lacked privacy. Its bulky design and lack of comfort also contributed to its failure. Vibrosaun. In the 1980s, Vibrosaun International tried to revolutionize at-home relaxation by creating something that looked straight out of a sci-fi movie: the Vibrosaun. This wasn't just a sauna, it was an all-in-one luxury device that combined heat therapy, entertainment, and massage into one strange-looking machine. The ambitious idea was to step into a personal sauna pod, where your body was enveloped in 170 degrees Fahrenheit dry heat, but your head stayed cool thanks to built-in fans. While you sweated out toxins, you could recline on a vibrating massage bed to melt away stress. The unit even came with a built-in stereo system. It promised a complete, convenient relaxation experience right at home, making personal wellness easier and more luxurious than ever before. Unfortunately, this dream of perfect relaxation quickly melted away for several undeniable reasons. First and foremost, the device was very expensive. $5,995, a massive sum in the 80s. This price tag put it out of reach for most households. Second, at nearly the size of a phone booth, it didn't easily fit into an average home. Many people simply didn't have enough space for such a bulky device. Finally, who really needed a vibrating sauna when a regular sauna or a massage chair worked perfectly well individually? The market didn't see the need for such a complicated and expensive all-in-one device. Ultimately, the Vibrosaun was one of those can-do rather than need-to inventions. Premier cigarettes. By the 1980s, smoking was coming under fire due to health concerns. R.J. Reynolds, one of the tobacco giants, made a bold attempt to create a cigarette that didn't burn tobacco in the traditional way, hoping to offer a healthier alternative for smokers. This product was called Premier. Instead of burning tobacco leaves, Premier used a heated carbon tip to warm the tobacco, releasing vapor that passed through a flavor capsule before being inhaled. The idea was to reduce harmful smoke and tar, making it a cleaner option than regular cigarettes. R.J. Reynolds invested $300 million in research and development, believing this was the future of smoking and a way to retain customers amidst increasing regulations. But that belief completely fell apart because smokers hated it. Early testers complained it tasted like charcoal and smelled like burning plastic, an incredibly unpleasant experience. Instead of a smooth, satisfying experience, Premier felt like inhaling hot, chemical-tasting air, completely missing the mark. Plus, they were difficult to light and hard to enjoy. The strange design and usage made users uncomfortable using them in public, further alienating the product. Premier never made it past market testing, showing a massive failure in understanding consumer psychology and preference. Italdesign Capsula. In the 1980s, Transformers took the world by storm, igniting the imagination of kids and adults with cars that could transform into giant robots. From there, people wondered what would happen if a real vehicle could also transform. That's where the Italdesign Capsula came in, a bold concept from the legendary Italian design firm, Italdesign. This car didn't turn into a robot, but it promised a different kind of transformation. A modular vehicle that could completely change its function based on its owner's needs. One day it could be a spacious van for hauling cargo. The next, with a quick modification, it could transform into a sleek sports car. It represented a vision of ultimate flexibility, allowing owners to customize their vehicle for every occasion without having to buy multiple vehicles. While the idea was innovative, it never gained widespread adoption. The main reason was that the technology of the time simply wasn't advanced enough to make these transformations easy and efficient. Disassembling and changing modules was too complex and time-consuming for the average consumer. Furthermore, consumers weren't ready for a car that could change its personality. The concept of a transforming car was too foreign and impractical for the needs and expectations of the automotive market at the time. The cost of developing and producing such a car would also be a major barrier. Ultimately, the Italdesign Capsula remained just an interesting vision of what cars could become. It remains an iconic design in automotive history, a testament to Italdesign's continuous creativity. Ulticard, the universal card. In the 1980s, Smart Card International tried to change how people managed money, security, and even personal health with an ambitious invention: the Ulticard, also known as the universal card. This wasn't just a regular credit card, it was designed to be a multi-purpose digital wallet, long before smartphones made that concept a reality. The Ulticard featured a 2-line LCD screen and a 10-key alphanumeric keypad, looking like a tiny pocket computer. The idea was to replace multiple cards with a single device. It wasn't just a credit card, but also a bank card, security access key, and even a payment method for parking meters and public phones. It also held many other futuristic ideas like fingerprint storage, medical records, and even calorie tracking, promising unprecedented convenience. So why didn't such a great idea succeed? The main reason was that technology simply wasn't ready to support that vision. The card was too complex, requiring specialized infrastructure to operate, something stores and payment systems couldn't provide at the time. Moreover, consumers weren't ready to give up their traditional wallets. The habit of using separate cards was deeply ingrained in their minds, and switching to a single device, while theoretically convenient, was too new and unfamiliar. Lack of trust in new technology and high costs also contributed to its oblivion. Ultimately, it sank into oblivion. The irony is the Ulticard was far ahead of its time, because today smartphones do all of this and more, proving that the Ulticard's vision wasn't wrong, just too early. Briefcase alarm. Back in the 1980s, business professionals carried briefcases everywhere, often containing important documents, money, or even secret information. Naturally, the fear of briefcase theft was real, and that's when the briefcase alarm came into play. A security device designed to strike fear into the hearts of thieves. The concept was simple yet dramatic. If someone stole your briefcase, all you had to do was enter a secret code into a transmitter. The briefcase would then release a vision-obscuring red smoke, making it impossible for the thief to see where they were going. At the same time, a blaring siren would go off, drawing attention to the culprit, turning a moment of theft into a chaotic and embarrassing spectacle. This device promised an ultimate security solution, not just preventing but also punishing thieves on the spot. In theory, this sounded like a genius idea. Who wouldn't want a built-in anti-theft smoke bomb? But in practice, it never really caught on. One big reason was the risk of accidental activation. People didn't want to risk inadvertently triggering it during an important meeting or in public, ruining their documents and causing unnecessary chaos. Perhaps it was too expensive, making it an impractical solution for everyone. Or perhaps, just perhaps, business people didn't like the idea of their documents being covered in red smoke if something went wrong, rendering what they carried useless. The complexity of use and potential consequences of malfunction made it too risky an option. Do you have any memories of weird or timeless gadgets you bought? Share them in the comments below. The do-it-all system. In the 1980s, tech companies dreamed of an all-in-one device that could handle multiple daily tasks, reducing the number of gadgets we needed to carry around. That was the birth of the do-it-all system, a device that promised to live up to its name by integrating multiple useful features into a compact handheld gadget. This small, portable device fit in the palm of your hand and included an AM/FM radio, a microcassette recorder, chess player, a calculator, and even a digital clock with an alarm. At the time, this was cutting-edge convenience. Instead of carrying separate devices for music, keeping time and calculations, you had one sleek gadget that could handle it all, promising maximum convenience for busy users. But despite its ambitious design, the do-it-all system never really became popular. A big reason was that the technology wasn't quite there yet. Switching between functions wasn't as smooth as people wanted, causing frustration and wasted time. The microcassette format also quickly became obsolete, replaced by better recording technologies. Furthermore, the idea of an all-in-one device was still too futuristic for most consumers. People were comfortable with their separate radios, calculators, and alarm clocks, seeing no need for a single device with limited features. Dome homes. If you lived in the 1980s, you might remember seeing dome homes pop up occasionally. A round, futuristic-looking house that seemed straight out of a sci-fi movie. They weren't common, and for good reason. Although they were touted as the homes of the future, their unusual appearance made them hard to sell. One company, Monterey Domes, claimed in 1981 that their dome-shaped houses were the most energy-efficient homes in the world. The design wasn't just for looks, it had a purpose. The curved shape reduced heat loss, while rigid foam insulation and solar heating systems helped keep energy costs low. Plus, these homes required fewer building materials than traditional houses, making them more cost-effective. In theory, dome homes seemed like a great idea. They were cheaper, environmentally friendly, and energy efficient. A winning combination. But there was one major problem. They looked too weird for the vast majority of consumers. People weren't ready to abandon their traditional square and rectangular homes for something that looked like a giant igloo or a spaceship. This unique shape, while technically beneficial, didn't align with traditional architectural aesthetics and societal expectations for a home. The circular interior also made it difficult to arrange conventional furniture, which was designed for right angles. Ultimately, dome homes never became the norm. While some experimental communities still have them, they remain a quirky relic of an era when people thought the future of housing might be a little more round. Electric doormat. In the early 1980s, German engineers came up with a high-tech solution for a simple, everyday chore: wiping your feet. Instead of a regular doormat that just sat there waiting for you to scrape off dirt, they introduced the electric doormat. This was an automatic, motorized mat designed to clean shoes without you having to do anything. The mat featured anti-tripping technology, with belts running over pulleys attached to counter-rotating drums. As soon as someone stepped on it, the belts would gently roll beneath their feet, sweeping away dirt and debris, promising a convenient and effortless cleaning solution. The idea was to bring luxury and automation right to your doorstep, making home cleanliness easier. But the problem was no one actually needed it. While the idea was innovative, the traditional doormat was already simple, effective, and most importantly, cheap. Why spend money on a complex device when a simple piece of fabric could do the job just as well? The electric doormat, on the other hand, was expensive and overly complicated for what it did. Maintenance was also an issue, as mechanical parts could wear out or break down over time, requiring repairs and additional costs. Consumers didn't see the value in paying more for a high-tech solution to a simple problem that already had an effective traditional solution. It remains a funny story about the superfluous inventions of the 80s. Private eye display. Long before virtual reality headsets or smart glasses came along, there was a bold attempt to revolutionize personal displays. That was the private eye, a futuristic-looking video display developed by reflection technology. This device integrated a tiny 1-inch screen into a head-mounted display, but thanks to clever optics, it appeared as large as a 12-inch screen to the wearer. This was an early attempt at wearable technology designed for hands-free viewing. It promised a revolution in how we consumed information and entertainment, allowing us to have a private, large screen right before our eyes anywhere, opening up countless possibilities from work to leisure. At first glance, it seemed like the future of portable displays. Imagine being able to watch videos, read data, or play games without a bulky screen. But there was one problem. It made people sick. Many users reported feeling nauseous or dizzy after just a short period of use. The optics created an odd viewing experience that wasn't compatible with human eyes, causing visual discomfort. Additionally, it was expensive and had very few practical applications at the time. The lack of compatible software and content also made it less appealing to general consumers. Atari CX77 touch tablet. When Atari exploded in the 1970s, it changed the home entertainment industry forever. By the early 1980s, the brand was everywhere, dominating the gaming world. Looking to expand beyond video games, Atari decided to venture into digital creativity with a futuristic device, the CX77 touch tablet. At first glance, this device seemed like a breakthrough. It promised to allow users to draw directly on their TV screen, offering a hands-on approach to digital art. For kids and hobbyists, it was an exciting idea, an early version of what we now call graphics tablets, opening up unlimited creative possibilities right in the living room. But in reality, the technology wasn't quite ready for this vision. You could only create very basic shapes with limited precision. The controls were clunky, making it difficult and frustrating for users trying to create complex artwork. Even worse, saving or transferring your creations was nearly impossible, so anything you drew was stuck on the screen, losing its long-term value. There were very few other programs that utilized the tablet's features beyond the included Atari Artist software, severely limiting its usability. Most people used home computers at the time for gaming or basic tasks like word processing, and digital art was still too niche, lacking a broad market. Not surprisingly, the CX77 touch tablet failed to generate the excitement that Atari's games did. Sales were disappointing, and the device quietly disappeared. Kodak disc film. In 1982, Kodak aimed to revolutionize photography with its disc film system, introducing a new type of camera that was compact, lightweight, and easy to carry. Traditional cameras were often bulky, but the Kodak Disc 4000 and other models promised a more convenient way to take photos, easily slipping into pockets and taken anywhere. Instead of standard film rolls, these cameras relied on small circular discs, each containing 15 tiny negatives. The idea was to make photography more portable and user-friendly, removing the complexities of film loading and rewinding, making it easier for everyone to capture memorable moments in everyday life. In theory, it seemed like a brilliant innovation. The cameras were sleek, and loading film was effortless. However, there was one big problem. The negatives were too small. This meant the image quality was terrible, grainy, blurry, and lacking detail, especially when enlarged. Despite its convenience, it simply couldn't compete with 35mm film in terms of sharpness and color. Many users were disappointed when they got their developed photos back to find them unclear and faded. Photo labs also disliked processing this type of film, adding more hassle for them, driving up processing costs. By 1988, Kodak stopped producing the cameras, though they continued making film until 1999 for those who still had them. Ultimately, the disc film system became one of Kodak's biggest failures. Fisher-Price PXL 2000 camcorder. In the late 1980s, the home video revolution was at its peak. Camcorders became a must-have for families, capturing everything from birthday parties to vacations. But Fisher-Price, a brand known for children's toys, saw an untapped market: kids. In 1987, they introduced the PXL 2000, a camcorder specifically designed for young filmmakers. Unlike traditional camcorders that used bulky VHS tapes, the PXL 2000 recorded low-resolution black and white video onto standard audio cassettes. This made it cheaper and more compact, promising to encourage the creativity of budding filmmakers without breaking the bank. While convenient, it resulted in pixelated, grainy footage, looking more like an early digital experiment than a high-quality recording. This made the viewing experience less appealing, even if it was still a cool concept: a real working video camera for kids. However, the price was a major issue. At $180, it was double the price of a Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, a much more popular electronic toy at the time. Kids also didn't see much use for its low-quality videos, as they wanted clearer images, just like on TV. As a result, Fisher-Price sold less than 500,000 units before discontinuing the product in 1988. But here's the surprising twist: while the PXL 2000 was a commercial flop, it gained a cult following among filmmakers and artists. Filmmakers and artists loved its lo-fi, dreamy aesthetic, and you can still find videos shot with it on YouTube. What was once a failed toy is now a collector's item, a symbol of creativity despite technological limitations. Seiko TV watch. In the early 1980s, mobile technology was booming. With the roaring success of Sony's Walkman, companies were eager to push the boundaries of what could be carried on the go. That's when Seiko stepped in with the Seiko TV watch, a gadget straight out of a spy movie. Launched in 1982 and 1983, this wasn't just a wristwatch, it was a wearable television. At first glance, the Seiko TV watch looked like a normal digital watch, but hidden in the watch face was a tiny 1.2-inch LCD screen. The idea? You could watch live television right on your wrist, a concept that seemed like the future of personal entertainment. It even had an FM tuner giving you the option to listen to the radio, promising unprecedented entertainment convenience. But as revolutionary as it sounded, there was a problem. Actually, several problems. First, to actually watch TV, you had to connect the watch to a pocket-sized TV receiver, which then had to be wired to a pair of headphones. So instead of a sleek, all-in-one device, it turned into a tangled mess of wires and add-ons, making it extremely inconvenient. The screen was too small with limited resolution, making watching TV uncomfortable and straining on the eyes. It was also quite bulky and heavy, especially with the separate receiver to carry. The disappointing battery life, only about 5 hours, further reduced its practicality. And at $495, no small price tag in the 80s, it was far from affordable for most consumers. Which product on this list surprised you the most by its failure? Let us know your thoughts. New Coke. When you have a winning formula, it's smart not to change it, right? Well, in 1985, Coca-Cola decided to do the opposite. They changed their world-famous formula, releasing what became one of the biggest marketing disasters in history: New Coke. The company thought they were making a bold move, adjusting the flavor to compete with Pepsi, which was growing in popularity. But instead of winning over soda drinkers, New Coke met with outrage. Fans didn't just dislike it, they hated it. The backlash was so fierce that within months, Coca-Cola was forced to bring back the original formula, labeling it Coca-Cola Classic. Consumers didn't trust the change and viewed it as unnecessary. For a while, both versions were sold side by side, but eventually New Coke disappeared. However, thanks to the nostalgia-driven success of Stranger Things, it did have a brief, limited comeback years later. Diet Pepsi AM. Pepsi wasn't the only giant to stumble in the 1980s. In 1989, Pepsi tried to redefine breakfast with Diet Pepsi AM, a soda designed to be consumed in the morning. The idea? To offer people a coffee alternative by providing a soda with extra caffeine to kickstart their day. But consumers weren't interested. Most people still wanted their morning coffee, and those who drank soda for breakfast were already drinking regular Pepsi. The taste also didn't differ much from regular Pepsi. Diet Pepsi AM quickly disappeared from shelves, becoming another flop in the beverage market expansion attempts. Apple Newton. Before smartphones and tablets became an essential part of daily life, Apple had a bold vision for the future of mobile computing. In the late 1980s, they began developing what would become the Apple Newton, one of the very first personal digital assistants, PDAs. Launched in 1993, though the idea and development started in the 80s, the Newton was supposed to revolutionize how people organize their lives, offering note-taking, calendar management, and even handwriting recognition, all in a portable handheld device. In theory, it sounded like a breakthrough. The Newton could translate handwritten notes into digital text, store important information, and act as a digital planner. A precursor to modern smartphones, promising maximum convenience for busy users. But in reality, it had some major flaws that hindered its success. First, the device was bulky and expensive, making it inaccessible to the vast majority of consumers. Most notably, its handwriting recognition software barely worked as advertised, often misreading words, leading to frustration instead of convenience. This became a running joke in the media and severely damaged the product's reputation. Consumers expected cutting-edge technology, but instead they received a device that felt unfinished and unreliable, failing to meet the high expectations Apple had set. Poor battery life and lack of network connectivity were other weaknesses. By the late 1990s, Apple discontinued the Newton, but its influence didn't vanish. The idea of a pocket-sized digital assistant would later evolve into the iPhone and iPad, proving that even Apple's failures can shape the future, laying the groundwork for the smartphone revolution we see today. Cabbage Patch dolls? Few toys in history caused as much chaos as the Cabbage Patch dolls did in the mid-1980s. These quirky, soft-bodied dolls with their distinctive round faces and yarn-like hair became the must-have toy almost overnight. Every kid wanted one, and every parent was determined to make that happen, no matter the cost. At first, the dolls seemed pretty harmless. They were unique, each one different, and came with their own adoption certificate, making them feel more like real babies than just another toy, creating a special emotional bond with children. The idea of adopting a doll rather than just buying it created a unique cultural phenomenon. But as demand skyrocketed, supply simply couldn't keep up. What happened next was absolute pandemonium. During the holiday season, stores turned into battlefields. Parents pushed, shoved, and even fought over the limited stock. Crowds became so aggressive that some retailers had to call the police to control the chaos, leading to frightening images being spread across news channels. It was one of the first major toy crazes in history, a craze that retailers were completely unprepared for, showing a lack of foresight regarding a product's impact. Ford Edsel, 1980s revival attempt. The Ford Edsel is one of the most notorious failures in automotive history. Originally launched in the 1950s, it was supposed to be the next big thing in American cars. But instead, it flopped so spectacularly that Ford ceased production after just 3 years. Most companies would leave such a disaster in the past, but in the early 1980s, Ford actually considered bringing it back. The idea was to salvage the Edsel's reputation by introducing a more modern, fuel-efficient version that would appeal to drivers in a rapidly changing automotive market. By the 1980s, consumers wanted smaller, more practical cars rather than the oversized gas guzzlers of previous decades. Ford believed that a revived Edsel, redesigned to meet contemporary taste, could finally find the success it had missed before. However, there was just one problem. Nobody wanted it. Ford quickly abandoned the idea before it ever went into production, realizing that some reputations are simply too difficult to fix. If you could bring back just one of these iconic products today and make it a success, which one would it be and how? Share your thoughts in the comments. The 1980s truly were a decade of bold ideas and unforgettable failures. Some products were too ambitious for their time, while others simply missed the mark. But even in their failure, they left their mark, shaping the future of technology, entertainment, and consumer trends. Do you want to know more about other failures? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to support us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next nostalgic journey.